Now let's go back to my presentation. So, does it work? No, it works. So why new layout for Android? The reason for that, I'm not sure if it's official, I don't work for Google, but more or less they say that during various presentations and podcasts. The main reasons are basically three reasons, and the first one is that they wanted to unbundle a new layout from an Android framework. Of course, when it's bundled, then we are waiting for manufacturers to push Android updates, and then we can use the new components. When it's unbundled from Android framework, Google can update this library outside of the life cycle of Android, just like they are doing that with support library. That's the main reason for that. The other reason is that they wanted to reduce nesting of layouts, and I will explain what's that later as we go. And the third reason is that this time they wanted to give us a first-time experience if it comes to editing layouts. There was a layout editor in previously Android Studio, but it was so-so. Now with ConstraintLayout, they wanted to start from scratch and create a UI editor that actually works. And I must say that it's kind of impressive, and I'm using it every day. Previously, I was always using XML to edit UI layouts. Now it is kind of cool. Okay, so let's look at the unbundled library thing. So Google support library showed us that it's possible. We don't have to push stuff into Android and then wait for manufacturers to push Android updates onto our devices. Google can quickly iterate and update libraries outside of this Android framework lifecycle. And in this case, this library is super small. Actually, there are two libraries. One is Android Archive, so there are some assets there, and one is just simply Jar library. There are like 700 methods in both of them, so it's kind of small library, so it makes sense to make it a separate unbundled library, so to speak. A funny fact is that it's supporting Android API 9 and up, so most probably we don't care about that because nobody's using old Android devices, but anyways, it's backward compatible up to API 9. That's the unbundled part. The other part is about reducing layout nesting. And layout nesting basically is the reason for that is that we use simple layouts, and by simple layouts I mean relative layout or even linear layout. They are kind of simple because they are meant to do just one thing, just to put things like in case of horizontal linear layout to put views in a horizontal row. The relative layout has some more capabilities, but still it's kind of simple layout. And because they are simple, you have to put layout into a layout to achieve more complicated UIs. So simple layouts lead to more complicated view hierarchies and into nesting. And nesting is bad from performance point of view because the way the UI is being drawn on Android basically requires Android framework to measure all the views and then layout them. And when we nest layouts, Android has to recursively go down into each layout and do the measure and layouting thing, and then there's this view traversal top to down. The more layouts we use, the more complicated process it is, and basically it's bad for performance. Actually, it never happened to me, but more or less that's one of the reasons they wanted to create a new layout for Android. And this is an example why why simple layouts lead to layout nesting. On the top, I have just simple view. I can create it using creative layout, and then on the left, I have just image view, and then two text views. I can just simply put them there. Like with relative layout, it's as easy as just to use two right-of image view, and that's it. But let's imagine I want to have the second scenario so that the first name and the last name, those text view to the right of the image view, they take half of the height of the whole container. To do that, of course, I start, let's say, with relative layout. I put image there. But to achieve this feature with relative layout, sadly, I cannot do that. I need to use a container to put my text view inside. And then in this container, we have this layout nesting thing, which is, in this case, not a big problem, but in more complicated scenarios, it's going to be a performance hit for our application. Okay, so that was the second reason why we created new layout, to reduce this nesting thing. And the third thing is to provide a better UI editing tool for us developers. And I must say that it's kind of impressive. It's not that new because it was introduced in preview 2.2. So now we have, I think, 2.3 and 2.4 is already in a preview, but it's kind of new to me. And back in the day, this is the way I was editing UIs on Android. Okay, it works. So basically I was just having a preview on the right and editing everything by hand in XML. Most probably most of you are doing the same thing because it was just much easier than using this crappy UI editor. And with the new UI editor, the way I'm working right now is more or less like this. So I'm in this new blueprint mode, and I'm just moving widgets around, widgets that are now in a constraint layout, and it's super useful. And then if I want to see more or less how it's going to look on a device, I can have both, so preview and blueprint mode side by side. So not only I see what's going to be on the device, but also have a nice blueprint mode when I just focus on layout hierarchy, and it's much easier than back in the day. So this editor is now working just fine. That was the third reason why they wanted to create constraint layout, a new layout for Android. So now let's have a look how it more or less looks. So we have this video here, and we try to play it for you. So basically, it's all about creating constraints and connections between views. I will play the video and then explain what's happening here. Hopefully, it's gonna work. So in this, this is a constraint layout, and on the screen we have two text views. We'll have two text. Okay, so they are here. So we have two text views, and as you can see, there are those green dots. They are anchors. Each object in the constraint layout has 4 anchors. Almost each. There are other views. Maybe I will just stop the video and just. Okay, so we have those anchors, and I can take those anchors and connect them to, in this case, sides of the screen. By taking an anchor from an object and connecting to a screen or to other objects, like in this scenario, I'm creating a constraint, a connection between two objects. Those constraints has to be top to top or bottom, or left to right or left to left. So I cannot connect from left of one object to bottom of the other object. They have to be in the same, let's say, axis. So left to lefts and tops to bottoms, okay? And of course I can add some spacing if I want. In this case, the first name is a bit from the top. And if I connect to objects, like maybe you've seen on this video, I can move those objects around, and then if object is connected to the other, and I move the first one, the second one will just follow. This is the basic idea in constraint layout, creating those connections, constraints, okay? And basically, in this example, we could achieve something like that very easily with RelativeLayout. So at this point, it's not very impressive, but the idea of connection is going to be super helpful later, and we show why constraint layout is much more powerful than simply RelativeLayout. So we are creating connections. Those connections. Okay, I'm stuck. I will try. Okay, so those connections this is the same layout in XML form, looks scary, but if we just focus on the important bits, to create a connection with constraint layout from the code, it's as easy as, of course, to have everything wrapped in constraint layout, and then all we have to do is just create a constraint. In this case, the name is super long, but it's long because they wanted to be expressive. And the text view, the one that was on the top, is just connected to the parent, so to the border of the screen. The second text view that you've seen on the video, the one that was on the bottom, is connected to the previous view, and that's it. It's as simply as just add this one line if you want to do this from the code, just to make a connection. And to move stuff a bit from the other object to create this spacing, we just use layout merge left top, just like with RelativeLayout. Fun fact is that we have to go merge left, we cannot use merge start. Of course, if we open this layout in editor, an XML view is going to suggest to switch to start, but once we switch to start, it stops working from constraint layout, most probably because constraint layout is backwards compatible. So we have to stick with left and not start. But anyways, it's super easy to do also from the code to create those constraints. And once we create those constraints, the power of constraint layout is going to happen really soon. So this is going to be just the super easy example, creating a constraint. What can be, how we can create those constraints? Manually, just like on the video, we can do this from the code, just like, or from the XML just shown on the previous slide. Or can you use a feature called auto-infer, which is super cool. Basically, put views on the blueprint mode, and then click one button. And there is a logic there as a part of UI editor that's going to connect all those views for us. In most cases, it works just fine. So the idea is that we just start creating our view, putting image, buttons, text views, and whatnot, and then we create one button. It creates for us, this auto-infer mode creates all the connections, and then if we want to change something, we just remove a connection and adapt it as we want. So basically, this is a super useful method to start using ConstraintLayout. There is another feature called auto-connect. So if I add a view to a ConstraintLayout and I have all the connections already created, and then when I add a new view, auto-connect feature will try to connect this new view to other connections so that I don't have to create this manually. And of course, if it doesn't work for me, I can just remove the connections created by auto-connect and auto-infer and use my own handmade connection. So it's actually super easy. Maybe it looks scary, but at the end it's super easy to create a connection in the code and using UI. There is the idea of full constraint view. Full constraint view is basically a view that has a connection from both sides, left and right, top and bottom. When we create those two connections, two constraints for our object, we make this object full constraint, and this leads us to an idea of bias. This thing here on the top left corner, this is an indicator from the UI editor. Maybe it's showing us that this particular view here has a connection from the left, from the right, and thanks to that I can use this slider to change a bias. By default, when I constrain object from both sides, it's going to be centered, but I can use this slider here to move it a bit to the left. Now the bias is set to 30, so it's 30% to the left, not in the middle, but 30% from the left actually. Okay, so there is this idea of fully constrained object or sort of view, and then we can add bias to a particular view. We can also achieve such a thing with RelativeLayout, so not a big deal now, but we had to go with another layout, not RelativeLayout, RelativeLayout, which is a part of Sapphire library, I believe. Anyways, the code looks scary at first, but it's all about one extra line here that I want to use this bias. Of course, object has to be fully constrained from the left and from the right in this case, okay? So, looks scary, but at the end it's about one line maximum file, so it's easy to be done in UI editor, it's also easy to be done in XML. Another feature of ConstraintLayout is dimension ratios. And basically we can create such a funny layouts like this one without any hassle. So as you can see, this thing number 1 here and number 4, it's a square. And to achieve such a thing, I just, in the code, all I have to do is basically make sure that the object has one size fixed. Actually, it's not true, but the easiest way is to be sure that it's a fixed size. And then all I have to do is just add one line and say, I want this object to be 1:1 ratio. So if one size is fixed, in this case 100 dps, obviously the other one will be also 100 dps, because I asked that here. If I want to have a different ratio, I can just put it here. It's width to height. Of course, here, as you can see, width is fixed, height is not, so the height is going to be 150, I believe. So it's super easy to have those ratios. And why do we care about that? Because very often we have a picture, we want the picture to be a square, and we can achieve that very easily just by creating a view, wrap content, and then asking for the dimension 1:1. We can also create views like 60:9, just by it's one-liner with constraint. There is no need to create aspect, image ratio, image anymore. Okay. Also, we could more or less achieve that with RelativeLayout, but ConstraintLayout can also do that. Another cool feature, actually this is super cool about ConstraintLayout, is our guidelines. This is stuff that looks like a thing from Photoshop or from designer's world. With guidelines, basically I can just create somewhere in the layout a horizontal or vertical line. This line is there in the UI, also in XML, but it's not there if it comes to drawing or measuring or layouting views, so it doesn't take CPU power to be drawn on the device, but it's only needed here for us to create constraints. And what can I do with those guidelines? let's imagine I have such a scenario. It's a dumb example, but it's enough to show why guidelines are kind of important. In this case, I have image view on the top, last name and first name are attached here to the previous views. So let's imagine and I want to add a gap here from the left. So move the image on the image view a bit to the right. If I move the image view to the right, the rest of views will simply fall. I cannot do that in when I created such a constraint. So to make it happen, I can just simply add a guideline. As you can see, I attach all the views here straight to the guideline, not to each other, and then I can just create a bigger gap for image view. Those guidelines can be in pixels, like here on the top, or in percents. So with pixels, more or less it's like this. I create a guideline here, which is 42 pixels from the side. This is a device in a vertical mode, horizontal mode, sorry. And let's imagine that this is a phone, and I'm gonna use the same layout on a big tablet. And it's gonna look more or less like this. Because the guideline was fixed in 42%, there's lots of free space here on the right. But when I switch guideline to percent, not only I can just create a grid on a screen, but I can also make this layout look more or less similar on a bigger device. Now this gap here is 20%, so the guideline is moved from the left to 20%. And if the device is a bit bigger, it doesn't look that bad on this device, because the 20% is going to be, of course, a bit bigger on a bigger device. So those guidelines are kind of useful to lay out things, also to create tables and let's say login kind of layouts like login screen or any input forms. And how do they look in the code? Basically, they are extra entry in the XML file, and they are there with their own ID. Of course, if I want to create a vertical or horizontal guideline, I have to just switch orientation. And then, because as you remember that it was 20% from the left, so it's vertical and %20, that's it. And then the other view is simply just created a constraint between the view and this guideline. Like I said, those guidelines are not there when the view is being drawn, and I will show you that why. So they are just, let's say, cheap. You can easily add lots of them into our UI, and they're gonna just be taken into account when creating constraint and trying to figure out where to put fix on the final during the final drawing phase. So that was a guideline. Another cool feature, and now it's a super powerful thing that is only available, I would say, in a constraint layout. Is basically now we are adding a power of linear layout to relative layout. This is why constraint layout is so much more than just simple relative layout. Chains. So as you remember, I created this not so impressive example before to explain why we have to nest layouts. In the first case, I had a simple relative layout. In the second, I went with a side linear layout to make sure that those things take 50% of the height of the whole container. How to achieve that with constraint layout? So basically, we go with chains. The idea of chain is that we can connect two views with each other. Honestly speaking, I'm not sure if we can use this by just dragging a mouse. But there's we just touch two views, and then from the right click we have option to change them, or from the code. And when creating chain, basically what we get is that we can go with constraint. In this example, constraint layout, put a view on the left, and then create a text view, another text view, chain them together, and ask chain to take those view in a special mode, and they just take both of them have the same weight and take half of the container. The special mode actually is not that special. They have names, and there is a list of those modes. Basically, they are like packed. The second one is spread. The third one is spread inside, and the last one is the one spread inside with weights. Basically, the first one we could more or less achieve with relative layout. The second one is a bit more complicated. I would say it's a good example of linear layout. The last one is, I think, also very easy to be achieved relative layout, but the last one is also something that we need linear layout for to achieve. So constraint layout in this case, in case of chains, is a mix of both linear layout and relative layout. And then this is, I would say, the most powerful feature of ConstraintLayout. For sure, it's super useful. In the code, the important bit is that those views are connected with each other, and the idea of chain is just one extra attribute to the first element of the chain. And I just specified packed here, super easy, okay? And the packed here will just give me this thing, super useful. Another cool feature that is in ConstraintLayout, not so much in RelativeLayout, is visibility. So we have such a thing, RelativeLayout, and when we just want to disappear, so set the view gone to the red square inside, what's going to happen with RelativeLayout? More or less something like this. With RelativeLayout, when I remove view, the red one, so the blue one was attached, I should say, to the red one, okay? And the red one was attached to the green. So when I remove the view, set visibility to view gone, RelativeLayout just simply puts the blue one in the top left corner. With ConstraintLayout, when I create constraints and make it in a spectacle array, and then I just remove the red view, it's going to just work just fine. The reason for that is with ConstraintLayout, sorry for that. So with ConstraintLayout, basically, when I remove a view, so the view is gone, but it's gone in such a way that it has size 0, so not being drawn, but all the constraints are there. So the ConstraintLayout, when the view is removed, it can still create the whole layout for us. So it's kind of a useful feature. Another thing that's a bit actually confusing is sizing, because with classic layouts we have wrap content, fixed size, and match parent. And it's super actually obvious and no need to explain. With ConstraintLayout we still have wrap content, we still have fixed size, and instead of match parent we have something called match constraint, which is not a proper value, because instead of match constraint we just put simply 0 dp. And match constraints basically make sure that the view is big enough to match the constraint that we apply to this view. How does it look in practice? Basically, just imagine that the big thing here is just a constraint I created for the views inside here. So the first view is just simply wrap content, that's kind of obvious. And this view here has a size 0 dp, so it's visible, it's not gone. And this 0 dp means match constraint, so it's from the left to the right side trying to be as big as enough to match the constraint between those big bars. And of course, fixed size view is just fixed size view. So it's a bit confusing that with ConstraintLayout we don't have match parent. We have something which is called match constraint, but we don't put match constraint literally in the code, we just go with 0 dp. We can put match constraint and sorry, match parent. Funny thing's going to happen, and when we switch to the UI editor is going to remove match parent for us and put 0 dp there. So sizing is a bit confusing at first, but later on it's kind of obvious. Another funny feature of ConstraintLayout is constraint set. So basically, constraint set is a way to create from the code an object, just like let's say an array list, and put constraint into that object so that later on we can apply those constraints to another view, another ConstraintLayout to be precise. And it's super funny when you connect that constraint set idea with transition manager, which is API 19. So it's not funny if you think that ConstraintLayout is API 9 and up. But sadly, to make those funny transitions, we need API 19. And you can create those constraints from the code, from the XML, or from other constraint sets. So it's kind of convenient. How does it look in action? So I created another video for you guys. Hopefully it's going to work. That's a Polish king, Jan III Sobieski, so Jan III. And basically, I created a layout. This is a ConstraintLayout, so I have it's loading, hopefully it's going to load. So this is a layout with an image view on the top, two text views on the bottom, and a bit of text at the bottom, and this button says show more. And yeah, button says show more. And I'm going to click this button in a second, and you will see this funny transition. And to create such a transition in the code, it will require some work. But this funny transition, actually, with constraint set, is just almost one line, okay? Let me show you that in the code, how to create that in the code. So first of all, I'm going to speed up a bit. I created the first layout. This is the first layout created using ConstraintLayout, okay? Then I created the second layout. So with the bigger text inside and the text to the right, this is another ConstraintLayout created in a separate file. And to make this transition in the code, all I have to do is write this, and it looks unreadable, so let me highlight important parts for you. So I just create two constraint sets. They are empty at first. Then I just ask the first constraint, say, to load all the constraints from the XML file I created. Ask the second one to load them from the second file. And all I have to do is now, on the click, use transition manager and switch those constraint sets, make constraint layout, apply constraints from one or the other set, and that's it. And basically, it's all about those 5 lines. I create empty constraint sets, then load all those constraints from XML file, so I can create this XML file in editor and see how it's going to look like. And then use transition manager key and apply one or the other, and that's easy. Of course, those constraint layouts has to be created in such a way that you can animate it with them. For me, guidelines are super useful for that. Hopefully, it's not that hard for you guys. It's fine. And now I have 5 minutes left. I'm going to show you how it works under the hood. And I'm going to speed up a bit, but it's super fun. First of all, Google wasn't first. There are other layouts that are trying to be constraint-alike layouts, and of course, Apple created AutoLayout themselves for iOS. So Google wasn't first. But Google is first to have super support on Android in the way of UI editor, and is first to have a working version on Android as well, because those 2 projects at the top there were just like proof of concept kind of projects, okay? And how it looks inside. So first of all, ConstraintLayout is a view group, just like other layouts are, so it's not a magical thing, it's just a view group. Another funny thing is that, like I said, guideline is just another view. Just a view, just like a button is. The only funny thing is that set visibility, draw, and unmeasure are, let's say, empty. That's why it's not painful to use guidelines, because they are not being layouted or measured during the runtime. Okay? And how does it work? The whole idea of constraint layout at the end is it's something called Kosovari algorithm by 3 guys. Most notably Greg Badros, and those guys created an idea how to create UI by creating a constraint between elements of UI. Of course, the whole algorithm is not about creating UI, the whole algorithm is about incremental, I'll try to read that for you guys, incremental constraint solving toolkit that efficiently solves systems of linear equalities and inequalities. And this is linear equality. That's inequality, and that's not linear because we have multiplying there, okay? So the whole algorithm is about solving those equations, or inequalities, and those guys were experimenting with this idea with connection to UI. So for example, this guy, Greg Badros, worked on a middle manager, and that's why the idea of those equalities and inequalities can be converted to UI. And by the way, that's the bird, the name is from that bird. And how does it work in action? Let's imagine that that's not precise the way the algorithm works, and that's not the precise way the Google library works, but this is the idea behind the whole thing. Let's imagine that we have those 2 views. We created a constraint from the left. It's 60 or 8, let's say 60, because in my example I'm going to use 60. So it's like 60 pixels from the left, that's the first view. The second view is here in fully constrained between this view and the parent and in the middle, okay? So how can we create those equations for this view and then try to solve them? Kind of simply, to be honest. We have this first point, which has random values and not known value at first. We have point B, which is basically 60 points from the point A, so it's A plus 60. We have point Q, so it's width of the object through. Let's say it's fixed size, so it's 100 pixels. We have point C, which is of course B plus Q. That's obvious. We have point C, which is width of the whole screen. That's going to be, let's say, 500. And now we have the size T. How much is T? T is basically whole screen, which is 500 minus C, which is unknown right now. R, let's say also this object is fixed size, so it's another 100. And then U, you can trust me on that, it's basically that's what's the value of U. And the whole Kosovar algorithm is that it's taking, the idea is that they're taking all those constraints, and basically these are constraints, converting them into such a list of math equations or inequalities in case of more complicated constraints. And then, as you can imagine, A is, oh sorry, there's a D here as well. Anyway, as you can imagine, A is 0 because it's the beginning of the screen. And you can trust me that when you just put numbers in place, we can just simply solve that, and at the end, these are the values. Let's imagine in pixels that we have to put into various places to draw this layout on the device. So basically, this is the whole idea, the math behind the constraint layout. We create constraint as the developers, and then this constraint layout is trying to find the values where to put objects on the screen. And actually, that was the last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your help. Thank you for your talk. Did you find any kind of benchmarks of comparison constraint layout against using relative layout or just user structure with deeper hierarchy?
Okay, so there was. So there is a benchmark created by a well-known blogger. I will share a link to his blog. Don't remember his name right now. He created a simple layout, a regular layout, and constant layout, and benchmarked that. And honestly speaking, when constant layout was an alpha version, it was slower. And then he was posting on Twitter comments about that, and people for Google were replying that they improved things. So for sure, for simple layouts, console layout is actually slower. It makes more sense to use just relative layout if you have a view and text or linear layout. But for more complicated layouts, I would say the performance penalty shouldn't be that bad. Maybe it's going to be better. But there was one benchmark, and in alpha days, it was actually slower.
Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. I have a question about sometimes linear of equation don't have solver. And constraint line, how fix this problem?
So in the crossover paper, which is 39 pages long, I tried to read that, but it's, I would say, boring. Very interesting, but that's hard to follow if you're not a math person. So if I get it correctly, if there is always a solution, and then you can maximize or minimize. So there is a goal function. This is the idea of goal function. And the goal function is, let's say, in this example, the goal function would be to make sure that the layout is the minimal possible, the container is minimal possible to put all the views there. So I'm pretty sure that there is a goal function in ConstraintLayout guts. If you just download the code and decompile it, there is a goal function there, and the function is called minimize goal. So, like I said, I don't know the maths behind that well, but in the case when there is no solution, obvious solution, you can always minimize or maximize. So find the smallest one actually that's gonna, the minimal value that's gonna suit all those equations. And that's the idea behind the crossover algorithm as well, if I get it correctly. So if there is no one value, we find the minimal one or the maximal one. And if there is no value, I guess that the paper will say that there is always a value.
Thank you.
I ask one question. What do you think about UI editor, maybe XML editor more faster?
So honestly speaking, before ConstraintLayout, I was always doing everything from XML. So it's hard for me to say the old one was even good. It was there, but for me it was just a preview window. And with ConstraintLayout, I'm using it every time in the blueprint mode, and I'm dragging and dropping views from this palette from the left, and I'm using the palette on the right to add values, because it's joyful to use. Sometimes there are some things happening really fun, and if you do something wrong, all those views are gonna just like randomly move on the screen for you. But there is this commands or controls you can undo, and it works more or less all the time. So the new editor is super, super cool. And it's just like with Kotlin, after the whole boring day with Java, it's kind of cool to write tests in Kotlin, and it's going to be a presentation about that later on today. The same stuff with ConstraintLayout. After the whole day with linear layout in the XML, using ConstraintLayout is super cool. So if the whole app is in a regular simple layout, so to speak, so relative layouts and whatnot, just add one ConstraintLayout somewhere and have fun for the very first time creating UI for Android. So that's my suggestion.